In this video, I will be addressing the left's unfortunate disposition to ascribe phobias to people who don't have phobias. This is so common that it causes the entire discourse of certain issues to be dictated by this terminology. When this happens, the phobia is the only term used to describe a set of beliefs. For example, how would one refer to someone who opposes encouraging homosexuals to be open about their sexuality? The only word that comes to my mind is homophobe. Now, in this particular example, most of the people who believe that can be fairly characterized as fearing that due to some irrationality. Should they be called homophobes, though? A common interpretation of the term phobia would lead one to believe yes. A phobia is an irrational fear. Once one believes in the Bible, the belief that homosexuals should repress their sexuality flows rationally. Because the fear is agnostic to whether or not it is rooted in rationality, i.e., the root of irrationality causes no emergent behavior, it would seem that, when contrasting rational fears with phobias, there is a distinction without a psychologically meaningful difference. While it may seem that way, there is still hope for the term phobia. Saving the term requires calling the group of people who support repression something different. The point is, for it to be a phobia, the fear itself needs to be irrational. In other words, for one to be phobic, one has to actually believe that there is no reason to fear, yet feel fear anyway. To any of you that have attempted to deal with a phobia, that should sound extremely familiar. You might be wondering if it would be okay if the left simply ascribed fears rooted in irrationality to those whom they claim have phobias. While I do think it is possible for ascribing irrationality to people to be a good, it is very easy to abuse, and it happens to have been abused. It is too commonly simply used as a term for those who disagree with the standard left position on the issue. For examples, see how Islamophobic, transphobic, and xenophobic are used most of the time. If you replace phobic with fear rooted in irrationality, you don't get the people who are described as being phobic. If they wanted to be intellectually honest and still express their disagreement, the correct way of describing their beliefs is as fear rooted in exaggeration. As a general rule, if you wanted to ascribe irrationality, you'd have to catch them literally ignoring logic. Closely tied to the issue of ascribing phobias to those who simply disagree with you is the problem of ascribing bigotry in the same way. You must simply replace irrationality with intolerance or hatred, and it flows about as naturally. This is because the terms are used exactly the same way. I don't even think people who use the word bigot like this actually know what it means. Now that I have presented the case for why phobia is overused, I will attempt to show you the harm of its overuse. When you falsely ascribe phobias or irrationality to people, you are shutting down discussion. People will not be willing to talk about their positions if they know that they are just going to be called irrational. Think about it like this. If you were in an argument with someone and they called you irrational, what would you do? If you just ignore it and attempt to get back to having an actual argument, you will just seem as if you're conceding the point. And if you are conceding the point of your irrationality, then no one has any reason to take what you say seriously. Alternatively, you could attempt to combat the point. But since for-all claims are incredibly hard to prove, and burden-of-proof arguments are generally not viewed as favorably as they are valid, you will be in a losing situation. Another strategy I've seen is to turn the claims of phobias and bigotry back on the leftist. This will not work and never will. To help illustrate why, I will elicit a definition of left and right. Someone is on the left if they promote reform of the current system, and someone is on the right if they fear degradation of the values of the current system. To be clear, I don't mean any ill will by characterizing the right as fearful. However, what these definitions should make clear is that the right is only one step away from wrongful fear. To characterize a leftist as wrongfully fearful, the leftist would first need to be characterized as fearful at all. It is also a significant uphill battle to convince anyone that someone is intolerant of their own people, or that someone is consumed by self-hate. So, how should we combat this? The only method that works is to explain why ascribing irrationality falsely is so harmful. When someone ascribes phobias or bigotry, the entire conversation must revolve around why doing so shuts down debate. Doing this enough will cause a cultural change that will make everyone react so negatively to false ascriptions that the benefits will be outweighed. As always, if you think I'm wrong, please tell me why in the comments. I thrive on your disagreement, and have a nice day.